Hey, Rob Pincus here, and I was pretending to a drill, but what I'm really doing is getting into a video here to talk to you guys about Save the Second. I'm one of the board members of Save the Second. I got in right after Anthony and Ron formed Save the Second as a rallying point for people who are interested in what's going on with the National Rifle Association and the path forward for the NRA to reform, reboot, regroup, get some new leadership, maybe change its structure and definitely change some of its strategies. And that's something I'm really passionate about, and that's why they asked me to be on the board with them. So in addition to Anthony and Ron, we also have Andy and Steve. Andy and Steve were both employees of the National Rifle Association over extended periods of time, very involved in the education and training area. I'm an educator, right? That's what I do. And people ask me, what I do. I teach. I'm an educator. That's what I do. I don't just teach shooting. I don't just teach personal defense. I try to advocate for gun rights, for gun responsibility. I'm involved now also on the board with Walk the Talk America, doing advocacy work there to raise awareness and understanding and get more education about mental health issues and the intersection of mental health issues and guns. But Save the Second is bigger than just education, although that's really my primary role, right? When I took the position on the board and decided to do media relations, or was asked to do some media relations, because that's what I do really well, right? I talk to a lot of people, I talk with a lot of media, I've engaged with both national, international media on gun rights issues, and people are asking me what's going on. See, I educated them about the fact that I could hear them in the background. So what we actually just got done doing was a class. So we finished up a day of training out here in California, and even these guys are asking me what's going on with the NRA. So when Washington Post calls me up, hey, what's going on with the NRA? When the Trace, I can still hear you! When Washington Post calls me up, when the Trace calls me up, people get mad. They're like, well, why are we talking to the Trace? Why are you talking to Washington Post? Why is Save the Second sharing information from these anti-gun or pro-gun control publications? Well, guess what? They're the ones doing the really good investigative journalism, right? I've said a lot here recently. I wish Recoil Magazine, I wish Guns and Ammo, I wish American Handgunner were doing good investigative journalism. We're starting to get some people in the gun media, not just, new media, the YouTube and things like that. When we're talking about media, I'm talking about Ammo Land doing a really good job. Tom Gresham just came out and made a very clear statement about why it's important that Wayne LaPierre gets out of the way, right? Mark Walters has been doing a great job, not only on his radio show, Armed American Radio, but also writing some pieces for Ammo Land. Of course, guys like Adam Kraut, people who've been running for the board, who've been trying to get on the board, have been talking about this problem for a long time. Geoff Knocks, right? Geoff Knocks lived through a lot of this stuff when it started in the 90s. There's a lot of important information out there that isn't just anti-gun propaganda. Are there anti-gunners and pro-gun control people who believe that this is funny, who this entertains them, that they love it, they're celebrating, they're high-fiving? Sure, of course they are. But that doesn't stop me from wanting you, the other American gun owners like me and like my students, from knowing the truth. I want you to understand what's going on. So the educational aspect of what we're doing at Save the Second is incredibly important. And I think it's something that we're all passionate about, but it's especially my niche, right? We've got guys who are doing a lot of things with outreach. We got Anthony's really heading up the petition issue for the amendment changes, the bylaw proposals that we want for some of the amendments inside of the bylaws, some changes, some updates to that. He's heading up the petition stuff, right? Ron Carter does a lot of our social media outreach. He does a lot of the coordination for both the discussion group and the website, right? Steve and Andy are coordinating and talking to a lot of the people that they know that are still inside of the NRA system, people inside of the education and training division, instructors out there. We're all talking to directors, right? We're all talking to the members of the board that are actually engaged in trying to vote on things, trying to get on committees, people that have been kicked off of committees because they've been outspoken or talking to us, and people that you don't know that are very, very concerned about this are also talking to us. We also are trying to be a little bit of a watchdog entity for the people that are out there spreading, misinformation or disinformation, the anti-educators, the one that are saying that no, there's nothing wrong, everything's fine, the NRA's never been stronger, and trust us, we're going to take care of anything that might even be a little bit of a tiny problem, allegedly, maybe, possibly. Those guys are they're liars, right? You got people who are lying, or you have people who are just twisting and spinning every single piece of information they can. And in some cases, they're relying on the fear or the naivete of the American gun owner who has listened to the propaganda from the NRA for so long, especially through the now defunct NRA TV project, where you were told, just trust us, don't trust them, don't trust anyone that we're not saying is okay. Well, that's what people who are tyrannical and people who are dysfunctional and people who are engaged in fiduciary negligence or financial malfeasance, that's the kind of thing they say. And when you listen to it for years, and when you're told for years you can't trust them, and then they do a really good job of investigative reporting to try to tell everyone on earth what's wrong with the leadership of the NRA, what happens? A lot of people get skeptical and they say, well, I don't trust them. They told me not to trust them. Well, think that through. right? When the bad guys are telling you not to listen to the neutral people or even their enemies, maybe there are some, obviously we know the Trace, right? It's controlled and funded by people who are pro-gun control. I get it. But they also happen to have some really good investigative journalists. The Washington Post leans pro-gun control, leans to the left, leans liberal. I get it. But they also have Pulitzer Prize winning journalists and great investigative journalists who have been reporting the truth and facts. And it's not just them saying it, right? It's a lot of us at STS. It's obviously a lot of directors have come out and said, yeah, these things are true, right? Go ask Robert Brown, right? The guy's published Soldier Fortune magazine. He's been in the industry forever, been on the board forever. He's part of the old guard and the establishment in some ways. But he'll tell you, yeah, he's gone through the files and looked at some of these invoices, and he has concerns. He's done some of the background checks of some of the people that have gotten jobs at the NRA through the Ackroyd-McQueen relationship and under the Wayne LaPierre regime. He knows what some of the problems are, and he'll tell you all about it, right? We know Lieutenant Colonel Allen West has talked out loud. Timothy Knight has talked out loud. Recently, we've heard from a number of different board members about them getting kicked off of their committees, losing committee positions, right? Again, Robert Brown lost committee positions, Tim Knight lost committee positions, Dwayne Liptak talked about losing his positions. Now, that's not made up. That's not some Bloomberg, George Soros propaganda lie. These are real things that are happening. So we want people to pull their heads out of the sand. We want people to start looking around. We want people to start speaking up. There's a lot of people speaking in hushed tones still. And again, my job, my role, one of the things I'm most passionate about with Save the Second and just in general when it comes to gun rights and responsibilities and our community being better and the NRA rebooting, reforming, and being stronger is education. So get educated, take advantage of the opportunities you have to read the facts. If you think that we're putting out disinformation, cool, go ahead, read 20 different sources, but don't just read one source. Don't just read us, right? We're trying to share information from a lot of different people. Many of them are inside the gun industry. Ask me questions directly, reach out to any of our other board members. We've got a great team at SDS. We have a lot of other people. Tiffany Johnson's one that springs to mind right away who aren't on the board, but also are doing a lot of work with us, but also may not be directors. So keep an eye on what's going on at savethe2a.org or through Save the Second at Facebook.